Welcome to our brand new unit. We are in Knowledge 3, and we're going to be learning about the ancient Greek civilizations. And today we're going to be learning an overview of the ancient Greeks and just different ways they lived their lives. What do we already know about civilizations? Well, first off, what does the word ancient mean? So if remember, ancient means really old. What about the word civilization? Remember, a civilization is a group of people living together in a well-organized way. Civilizations have cities, farming, leaders, writing, and or a religion. So when we're talking about the ancient Greek civilizations, we are talking about people called the Greeks who lived a long time ago in an ordered, organized city. What other civilizations have we learned about? Well, we learned about the Indus Valley people, or the people in India, and we also learned about the ancient Chinese. Remember, civilizations have 5 key components or characteristics, and that are found in pretty much every civilization. We will look at 5 pictures from our old unit, Ancient Asia, to remind ourselves what those components are. So this first one here is a picture of the ancient Indian civilization as they are farming. Anyone know what key component or characteristic of a civilization this picture shows? Well, since we're talking about farming, we're talking about jobs. There's different people's jobs in the civilization. So one component is jobs. Another one is this is a picture of Mohenjo-daro in ancient India. What key component is this one? Well, Mohenjo-daro was a big city. So the second component is a city. This third one tells us remember, there was this big emperor, and this emperor ordered the peasants and all these other people to make the Great Wall. So this one shows what a leader can do. So most civilizations have a leader. This was an emperor who helped build, well, didn't really help build it, but told people to build it. The next one, this was showing Siddhartha Gautama, or the Buddha, who founded Buddhism. That key component in this picture would be religion. And our last one would, we had the bone and the different writings. So writings would be our 5th one. So the 5 key components are jobs, city, leaders, religion. Now this last one, I call it contributions or writing, but we're going to move towards contributions because writing was more of a something that we use today. So contribution, when we talk about what does that word contribution mean, it means something that they did a long time ago that is still used today. So the Chinese writing was used a long time ago, but is still going to be used today. So where are we? We are no longer in ancient Asia. If you want to know where Asia is, it's not on this map. It is way over. If this map expanded out, it would be way over here, what we learned about. Today, we're going to be talking about kind of a smaller country. So this side is a map of Europe, and our country is the country of Greece. Now, Greece is located right down here where it meets a couple of the seas, the Aegean Sea and the Mediterranean. And right here is where the ancient Greeks are. So I'm going to zoom in on the Greeks. So this is zooming in on the Greeks. And again, the big sea they surround is the Aegean Sea and then the Mediterranean Sea right down here. So this is a map of what Greece looks like today. And Greece is actually filled. One cool thing about Greece is they're filled with just a bunch of islands, and we're going to learn more about what Greece is like here in just a little bit as we go through our read aloud. But you're going to be learning about different city-states of Greece. You're going to learn about what they did for jobs and pretty much everything in this civilization. We're going to be going through the 5 key components for this for the ancient Greeks. So after today's reading, you should be able to review those 5 components of a civilization and be able to tell me what key details about the ancient Greek civilization, how they fit with those components. And also you should be able to demonstrate an understanding of our new vocabulary that we're going to be talking about. And our first word is the word independently. The ancient Greeks, again, being a smaller country, have contributed a lot of awesome things. So get ready. There's going to be a lot of things you're going to recognize in the read alouds coming up. It's going to be very fun and exciting. Again, as we go through our read aloud, the ancient Greeks, listen to find out more about the ancient civilization that developed long ago across the Atlantic Ocean on the continent of Europe. About 2,800 years ago, there lived a civilization people called the ancient Greeks. Today, part of the area where this ancient civilization lived is called Greece. Long ago, however, the ancient Greeks lived on a much larger area of land. The boundaries or edges of ancient Greece spread widely to the east and west into many areas bordering on the Black Sea to the north and across hundreds of islands in the Mediterranean and the Aegean seas. Expeditions or journeys by land and by ship allowed the ancient Greeks to travel as far west as present-day Britain and as far east as India. The ancient Greeks traveled to explore far-off lands and also to trade or buy and sell goods with people from other areas. The ancient Greeks were similar to the other ancient civilizations in some ways. They had a writing system, leaders and laws, religions, and different people to do different jobs. And all of these ancient civilizations, the Egyptians, Mesopotamians, Indians, Chinese, Maya, Inca, Aztec, and Greeks, discovered ways to design and build magnificent structures or buildings that can still be seen today. You'll see pictures of some of these structures in another lesson. So we talked about one thing important to societies, and that would be water. And as you can see here, these are dots of different city-states or different cities in the Greece, in the ancient Greeks, and they're all kind of near water. Now, this water is just a little bit different. We're going to learn here soon how their land is a little bit different as well. The ancient Greeks, however, were also different from other ancient civilizations in many other ways. Unlike the Egyptians and the Mesopotamians, the Greeks did not develop around a great river. So there is no river we're going to learn about here, like the Nile in Egypt or the Tigris and Euphrates near Babylon. Greek land was not as fertile as the land near those wide flooding rivers. What does that word fertile mean again? Greece is a high, rugged, or uneven, rocky type mountains. And in many parts, farming for the ancient Greeks was a struggle. It is very hard to farm on mountains and rugged, hard land. You're going to hear about one type of hardy or strong tree, however, that the ancient Greeks were able to grow in abundance or great amount. You can see the tree in this picture. Look at the ground, though, how rough and hard and kind of sandy it is. It's really hard for growing, but you can actually see pictures of other trees. This tree we're about to learn about grew in great amounts. In addition to being farmers, especially these trees, some Greeks were also shepherds who took care of sheep on this rugged land. Some Greeks built harbors near the Black, Aegean, and Mediterranean seas. Many became expert sailors and fishermen using boats like the one in this picture. So harbors are kind of sheltered places on the water where ships can safely load and unload their cargo or goods. The largest island in the Mediterranean Sea was known and is still known today as Crete. Because they were surrounded by water, the ancient Greeks on the island of Crete became especially skilled seafarers, a name for people such as fishermen and sailors who earned a living working on the sea. So right down here is the island Crete, and one of their main jobs was being these people called seafarers, or people who made a living or money off the sea. The high Greek mountains also made a difference in the way ancient Greece was ruled. Because these mountains split Greece into lots of tiny valleys. So a valley is when there's two mountains and then there's a land right between two mountains. So here's one mountain, here's another, here's the land in between them. That would be a valley. Because the mountains split Greece into lots of little valleys, it was very difficult to move from place to place. Many Greeks stayed in one place and married people from the same community. Each city in each valley became its own little nation or its own little country, which we refer to today as a city-state. Each city-state had its own government and its own laws, which controlled the surrounding area. All the ancient Greek city-states shared the same language, although each city-state had different dialects or slightly different ways of speaking the language. So why did city-states develop on their own and not with the other city-states in the country? Sometimes the Greeks had the same ideas of how to live their lives, but they did those things independently of one another. The word independently means acting on your own or in your own way that is free from the control of other people or things. In fact, the ancient Greeks were highly competitive, and only in an emergency would they work together. After each emergency, the city-states would go back to independently minding its own business. People in each city-state thought of themselves less as united Greeks and more as citizens of their particular city-state. So that would be like, to describe these city-states, it would be like our classroom in Mr. Drosky's class being its own country and separate from any other second grade classroom in our building or in our school. So it's our classroom, and we're saying we're our own country, we're our own school. But that's not the case. But that's what the Greek city-states were like. All these different places were saying we're our own little country, pretty much. And they pretty much did things independently from the other countries, only sometimes meeting up with the other city-states. The ancient Greeks looked at the world around them very differently from the way other people of their time looked at things. For example, you're going to hear the story of how one city-state decided not to have a king anymore. Not only was this different from the other Greeks, what the other Greeks were doing, it was completely different from what the Mesopotamians and Egyptians had done before, and from what the Aztec, Inca, and other civilizations would do in the future. You'll hear more about this later. For now, all I will say is that the Greeks had a unique or a special one-of-a-kind way of seeing and thinking about things. We have a lot of exciting adventures ahead of us as we learn about the unique way that ancient Greeks lived and thought about many things, and how their many contributions are a part of our lives today. Remember, contributions are things or ideas that are shared and passed on because they are helpful and good, and they're things that are still used today. All right, let's go through our comprehension questions just to remember what we have read. So ancient Greek government was organized by city-states. What is a city-state again? Describe the terrain or the land of ancient Greece. How did the land, affect how the ancient Greeks developed? How were the ancient Greeks unique or special that we heard about at the end of our read aloud? So we heard this word work word. Our word today is the word independently. What sound is the Y make in this word? Yeah, Y is making the E sound. So we have a prefix. Remember, a prefix are those little words that attach itself at the beginning of a word. And the prefix is in. Anyone know what the prefix in means? Some good guesses. The prefix in, remember, means actually not. So what do you think independently means? So independently means not with help of someone else, or you do it on your own without the influence of help from someone else or something. So you can see this little boy, he's all by himself, and look at all those leaves, and he's picking up those leaves independently. The mother bird feeds the baby bird until it is big enough to feed itself independently. Have you ever done something independently or seen someone else doing something independently? Whenever I see someone doing something independently, I always want to jump in and help them out. So remember, the prefix in means antonym or opposite of, or kind of not. So visible means you can be seen. So that means when we add in front of it, invisible means you can't be seen, you're not seen. So when we have the word correct, it means the answer is right. But now let's add in. Incorrect means the answer is wrong. Active means you're moving around. Inactive means you're not moving around. So that's our word work word for today. We're also going to be, during this whole unit, we're going to be going through this thing called the Greek civilization chart. So in this chart, we have some of our key components. We have our jobs of the ancient Greeks, the religion, city-states, leaders, and contribution. In today's read aloud, we didn't really hear any contributions. We didn't hear about any leaders. We kind of got information about city-states, but we didn't really hear about any. We didn't really hear about religion, but we heard about the different jobs. Does anyone know what jobs we heard about in this read aloud? We heard about 3 jobs. One of those jobs being farming, remember, of this tree that we're going to learn about here soon. Another job that was kind of hidden right in there, but it's a job called shepherding. And that means you're herding different sheep around. And then the job with that island of Crete called seafaring. So those are going to be going on, and we're going to be showing this civilization chart as we go on through this unit so that you can just remember the different components from ancient Greek. In your application today, what you're going to do is either you're going to have a notebook for yourself, or maybe you're typing this on the computer as well. What you're going to do is you're going to use a complete sentence to fill out the ancient Greek notebook page. And what you're going to do on that page is you're going to tell me about use a sentence or two, and you're going to tell me about the 3 different jobs you learned about in ancient Greece. So you're going to use a complete sentence and tell me about the jobs in ancient Greece. Hope you enjoyed this first read aloud. We have many more adventures to go through for this read aloud and this unit. I'm very excited for it. I hope you are too.